Hi, guys.
Welcome back to the Catholic Coaching Podcast. Who wants to improve their sleep quality at night or get to bed earlier and stop doing the things that keep you up late at night? That's the problem that I'm dealing with. So the way that Erin coaches me on this podcast is really understanding, leveraging my unique design as a choleric man, right, in this. But if you're not a choleric man, there's still a lot of lessons that are in here for you. And you can kind of follow the strategy that she uses to leverage all of the natural inclinations and habits that I already have to build a plan that's really tailored to me, improving my sleep quality.
Yep. So if you want to see a blend of temperaments and mindset coaching, come on in. This is like, we didn't even practice this. This was in real life, real time. So come on in and jump into Matt's brain and join us.
It'll be fun. It's a party in there.
Hey guys, welcome back. We have a treat for you today.
And I'm kind of looking forward to it. And I'm kind of like, because, and the is like, if I'm going to get coached on camera for all the world to see, I am kind of afraid of what can come up. So this is like a funny dynamic, but at the same time, we get a lot of questions on, hey, like what's going on in a coaching session?
Yeah.
And we've been really starting to integrate the way that somebody expresses themselves through their unique design. In this case, like through their temperaments. We use temperaments a lot to reveal how somebody shows up and their gifts and their contributions, all those things. So Erin's going to be coaching me with like mindset combined with unique design here, which is
mindset,
pretty powerful.
Mindset and temperaments, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just giving you a sample. And this is, we did not go through this. We did not run through this. I gave Matt some things to look at, so we wouldn't be like having a ton of dead air. But we have not run through this yet. And so you guys will get a front row seat of what it looks like to get coached. And Matt, I promise you that you can take me through the same thing.
Oh, fun.
On a future podcast.
Well, the cool thing about when you start to bring in unique design, and in this case, we're using temperaments as our kind of a touchstone for unique design. When you start bringing unique design into coaching, you can start to create plans for people that are aligned with their natural abilities, their natural motivation styles, their ideal conditions, avoiding some of their triggers and things like that. And so you could really tailor an approach, which is what we're all about in our academy. So we help you identify those unique designs so that when we coach you uniquely you and help you build those unique strategies. So listen in here. So I'm going to be a choleric. My secondary is melancholic. And so maybe the cholerics are going to identify with this a little bit more, but most of you are friends with some cholerics. Maybe some of you are even married to cholerics. Yeah. So enjoy learning a little bit about the choleric, the things that motivate me, at least, this choleric. And Erin, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, and
kind of.
One reason why we chose to do this, too, is so often we have been both trained in assessment coaching. Right? Like you learn this new language. You learn all these things that you're good at, these things that maybe you're not so good at. And then the question remains, what do you do with them? How do you apply these to your life?
Like
and
actionable things.
And like, how do you actually work through the problem areas? Well, we have a solution. And it is a combination of assessment coaching or temperaments coaching or strengths coaching and mindset. And it's taking the two and bringing them together, and there is great fruit on the other side. And so we are looking forward to doing this. This is a live coaching session, everybody, so buckle up.
Yeah, this has helped me be a lot more compassionate in terms of how I approach my parenting, how I approach my business and my relationships with my employees, how I approach my relationships with clients or potential partners. So I really do love this unique design work and just the freedom that it gives to be authentically me.
Yes.
And
Amen.
And not try to be motivated or driven, by somebody else. What motivates or drives somebody else, or whatever internet personality or social media personality that I see.
All right,
babe, let's do it.
And scene. Here we go. Hello.
Coach hat on you. All right.
Client
hat on me. I'm ready to go. Let's
Hello,
do this.
clients. Matt.
Hey. Hey, wife, coach.
I was just wondering, what is it that you want? Like, what's a goal that you want to work towards?
Okay, this is a goal that I think a lot of people would share. I've got a lot of goals because I'm choleric. But this one, I think, is one that I picked that I think a lot of people identify with. And it's wanting to really get my sleep schedule consistent. So I want between 7 and 8 hours of sleep each night, especially during the work week. Maybe I'll actually, you know what? On the weekends, I want to do. I want a consistent 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Right now, it's between 6 and 7.
Okay.
You know, sometimes, rarely do I get below 6, but between 6 and 7. And there's some people on that are listening right now that are probably like, I would love to have 6. Are you kidding me? All right.
That's all right. Plug in whatever. If you're listening, plug in your hours
7 to 8 hours
that
of sleep.
you want.
Yes.
Okay, so you want a sleep schedule is consistent, 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So it sounds like just 1 extra hour, if we're going to be really factual about it.
Yeah. So like, I think it's not so much adding it to the morning, so it's adding it to the evening, which is like, and I've got plenty of habits of things that I do after Avila goes to sleep at night.
Okay.
That keep me from getting the 7 to 8 hours.
Okay. And why do you want this?
I'm realizing how important it is for me to be fresh, especially in my role in the company, and how even recently leaning into some of my strategic thinking gifts and realizing I'm taking this course through MIT on neuroscience and leadership right now, realizing that our brain actually burns calories. And so one of the ways that really erodes your ability to think well and make good decisions is a lack of sleep. It's like, certainly diet's a part of it, but lack of sleep is a big one. And I felt that mental fatigue before. I typically feel it right now on Thursdays and Fridays. I start to lose my motivation. I'm more inclined to procrastinate, you know, and I end up front loading a lot of my strategic thinking to the beginning of the week.
Okay.
And a lot of that is just because I have not been disciplined with my sleep.
Okay.
And I just kind of say, oh, well, I'll just catch up on the weekend, right? And I burn the candle at both ends. And next thing you know, I could be having an efficient week the entire week.
Okay. So you want efficiency.
I want efficiency in the way that I'm thinking. Yep.
Okay. So here's what I have. You want a consistent sleep schedule, 78 hours a week, and then the reasons why
7 to 8 hours.
7 to 8 hours a night.
Yes, a night, not 78 hours a week.
And the reason why is because you want to be fresh and clear, and you don't want that mental fatigue to show up on Thursdays and Fridays, and then also you want to be more efficient.
Yeah, with my thinking, specifically my strategic thinking and my decision making capability.
Okay. All right. From that list, that habit change list of temperaments, what do you foresee what weaknesses or triggers do you foresee getting in the way of you taking an extra hour in the evening and getting to bed early?
Okay, weaknesses and triggers. All right. So, and Erin alluded to a list just now. So this is something that we do where we have an assessment list that uses those different points of awareness. We did a whole series of podcasts on the points of awareness for unique design. And so we have motivations, contributions, triggers, ideal conditions, and then weaknesses in there. So this is just a list that I'm looking at based on my choleric temperament. There's a whole category of lists of weaknesses or strengths that I could pick from, and it just helps me to start to put language to maybe a skill or contribution or a motivation. So here, okay, so I'm going to flip over to where I was in terms of the, you asked a question on like what.
While you're looking at that, I'll just explain. So the reason why this is helpful is I could have asked Matt, I could have said like, hey, what do you foresee getting in the way of this? And just let him kind of come up with that on his own, and that's fine. But these lists are really helpful in just creating that language and creating a little bit of focus around that thing.
Okay, I got one. All right, so we're looking at a weakness that gets in the way.
What do you foresee as a weakness that gets in, or that you've seen in the past?
Okay, lack of enjoyment when I'm actually performing a task. So I get so focused on just getting it done that what happens is I don't actually enjoy it when I'm doing it. And then I feel this deficit of joy that later on in the evening I have to make up by watching TV.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, so lack of enjoyment. All right. And
it's just
then
kind of like, just get it done, head down, like just do it. And there's like a tax that's there.
Okay. So lack of enjoyment. And what's the thought that's leading to that for you? Like I have to put my head down all day long and then I don't get...
It's like, I have to get this done.
I have to get this done. But then what causes you to go watch the TV?
Well, it's like entitlement. Like I deserve this. So it's a reward that I've kind of delayed.
Okay. Delayed reward.
I've got some more weaknesses that can contribute.
Okay.
Here.
Whatever else. Okay.
Sure. So restlessness.
Yes.
Oh my goodness gracious, restlessness. Cholerics unite. All right. Have you ever just felt frenetic? Like as soon as you sit down, it's just like, I could be doing something else. And next thing you know, you're just like 10 o'clock at night and cleaning toilets.
Could be doing something else.
Or there's something else that needs to get done. I know. And this is even like I can see from the military. There's always something more that you can do to like improve the situation. So that always something more tends to create this restlessness. But it's even the restlessness, I would say, stems more from another weakness, which is impatience.
Okay. So
specifically, I want to get things done. I want to get them done the most efficient way possible. And I want them done now, right? And I know this is even like one of my unique motivations. I don't know if this is too early to say this, Erin.
No, go ahead.
But like I'm really motivated to realize a vision. All right? So like take something that's an idea and bring it into a tangible reality that other people can interact with and benefit from, and they can get some sort of enjoyment out of that as well. So when I'm in that birthing process, it's like I want to make that birthing process as short as possible, which means I have to be working as long as possible.
Okay. All right.
At least that's my thought behind it.
Okay. So I have 3.
Okay.
And this is a good amount to start with.
Okay.
The lack of enjoyment.
I'm not overwhelming you?
No.
Okay.
Restlessness and then impatience.
Yeah. Okay.
Out of those 3, which one do you think, I don't know, is like the problem child?
Impatience.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And the thought that you gave me, and guys, this is where the mindset coaching comes in, right? Because he's not doing this overuse pattern or moving into this weakness out of nowhere. It's coming from a thought. So the thought that you gave me, and I could be wrong, so we can expand on this.
So everybody here, so Erin just said overuse pattern. Maybe you're familiar with that term that we've used, but when we say overuse pattern, what she's talking about is a strength that I have that's being used in excessively. Okay, so when something is being used excessively, that's not being used virtuously. So virtue is when you're using thing to the appropriate level, right? And when you have an excess or deficit of something, it tends to show up viciously at that point. So more of a vice pattern. And so what she's identifying is that it's not like I have a weakness, but rather I have a strength that needs to be tamed, and it's showing up excessively here. And that excessive, maybe it's an excessive productivity, which can be a strength that's showing up as impatience right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it could be a weakness. It could be a literal, moral and character flaw. Meaning impatience, like a vice, Sure. So all right. Impatience is a vice too. So it could be both. It could be a little bit of both. Okay. Yeah. So let's go back to impatience. The thought that you gave to me was, I want this vision to be reality now. Is there anything else, or I want all the things done
Talk
right?
To the microphone.
Is there anything else? I want all the things done right now.
I want all the things done right now.
What's the thought?
It's like, I want it to be done.
Yeah.
I want it to be done.
Okay.
Right now.
Yep. Okay. And how do you feel when you think that?
A lot of urgency. So it's just like, that's where that frenetic restlessness comes in. And it's like, and I feel it heavy at the end of the night, because it's just like, there's this like perception that I have at that time between Avila going to bed and me going to bed, that it's like, that is a opportunity right there to advance and like, and advancing means that I'm sitting down in front of my computer, or like I don't know, I have like competing priorities, because sometimes it's like, I could do this, or I could sit with Erin, or I could like read a book, or like there's all this stuff that I like competing for that time.
Yeah.
And even that, it's just like, I put this urgency on myself to like use that time as efficiently as possible.
Yeah.
And I end up like really, I don't know. It's not my finest hour to do work. I can tell you that.
Okay. So you work, would you say, how does the working, what does that look like? Like if I were a fly on the wall and I could watch you working, you said it's not my finest hour. What does that look like?
It could be pulling out my remarkable tablet, which is like a selfless plug there. That thing is awesome. And like planning the next day.
Okay.
So it could be like kind of really getting future oriented.
Okay.
Could be looking at the things that I didn't get done today that are like, okay, can I knock this out and create some momentum, or can I just plan when I'm going to do this the next day?
This is all coming from urgency?
Or it's like I can create a list of more things that need to get done. So I list create.
Okay.
Because like my choleric, I need to know where I'm going. Because I don't want to get something done and then not know what the next thing is that I'm going to do. So I have an endless list.
Yeah.
Always in front of me.
Yeah. Would you say you rush through the work?
No, I wouldn't say I rush through the work.
So you're thinking the thought, I want this to be done right now. You feel urgency. And then you said, I don't do my finest work. And so I'm trying to like paint a picture of
it's more like it's more planning work that's getting done. Sometimes there's like production work, but I've gotten to the point where like a lot of that production work has been delegated out. Okay. It's more like thinking through things that I'm doing. And so it's almost like it's like a buffering with planning. So it's like, okay, I feel really frenetic. You know what'll help me feel better is if I just plan when I'm going to do the things. Is that thought I'm not done yet, or there's another thought about I should be doing something to move forward right now, and it's just like, okay, this is something that I could do to move forward. Yeah, and it doesn't like create peace, and that's really what I want.
That's what I was wondering. I'm like, okay, so like, what is the end fruit, the end result of all of this action?
Honestly, it's like it does not help me sleep. I promise you that it does not help me sleep. So that one night where I broke into like blue ocean strategy, which is like, and I worked until like, I don't know, like 11 o'clock. I woke up 2 hours later and my brain was on, like it was on, and I was up and I was like opening up my notepad in the middle of the night and writing stuff down. I was just like, I kind of like this, but this kind of sucks. Cause like, I know I'm not going to be fresh tomorrow. And like that happened. And then of course, like Avila came and woke me up like an hour after I laid down and didn't fall asleep. But so I lost with that activity. I lost about, 2 hours of sleep.
Okay. So it doesn't help you sleep. The interesting thing is with all the planning, so you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, but like, it sounds like you're planning to do more things and you're actually not even finishing anything, which is the original thought is I want it to be done right now. So like, I want these things to be done right now.
It's not producing the fruit that I want. And it really is denying me the sleep that I need in order to just allow my brain to kind of do a disk defragmentation, and just connect. Like this is what I'm learning in my class. Like this is when the neuroplasticity work is actually taking place, is in that REM cycle of sleep. And so it's like the thought is if I just read a little bit more, just cram a little bit more, then I'll have more knowledge in my head, but it just doesn't get integrated because I'm literally denying the body's way by God's design, how God has designed us to actually take the information that we get and actually process it. Yeah. So I'm not growing in understanding or strategic thinking.
Yes. And the point that I'm trying to make is like, you're actually creating more things on your list to get done right now. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. And why that's a problem. I'm not so much worried about having more things on my list. It is the fact that when I look at the things, I am looking for ways to get those things done.
Yes.
And it's taking, it's literally taking my brain energy from me.
I hear you.
Like my caloric burn is.
Okay, cool. All right. So that's the fruit that this thought creates. Is the thought I want it to be done right now creates urgency, and you said frenetic a couple of times.
Yeah.
But then you're buffering with planning, and then you're waking your brain up. Actually.
Yeah. Or I'm eating. Like this is kind of even more like I'm eating after 9 o'clock, and that's something else that gets my digestive system moving. That starts to disrupt my sleep. So. And then it's like, okay, well, I'll just drink more coffee the next day. Well, that has kind of a push-pull kind of effect on my body too. So it's, yeah.
Can we go back to this thought? I want it to be done right now.
Yeah.
What's it? What is it? Like, do you have a recent example? Like, or
I mean, it's all work-related stuff. So
what do you want to be done?
So we've been doing a lot of just kind of really getting clear on strategy, vision, market positioning, and I want to be able to have that closed, or at least buttoned up to the point where we can start executing. Because like I look at the team and they're kind of just waiting on that to get done, and I see like, okay, we've got a gap. I want to be a good steward of this time, so. Sense of urgency that's here.
Okay. So this is just the strategy for the business? You want that to be buttoned up?
Specifically, it's like that. I want to have that clear, done, and we're moving forward, and we're getting into just marketing and and then we have some other products that we're considering here as well. So it's like nailing down literally what those are. And making sure they fit and all that stuff. So like I say all the stuff. Like I don't really know what winning looks like.
Yeah, okay.
And that's kind of part of my problem. So I'm being so super triggered by not having that ideal condition of knowing what the goal is.
Okay. But what we do know is that when you sleep, you actually have the ability to strategically think better versus when you don't sleep. We know that.
Yeah. There's literally a prayer that you pray at night prayer that's just like, Lord, even as I sleep, guide my steps, or that piece. Yeah.
And you thinking, I want it, meaning the strategy for the business, to be done right now. Like, do you think that thought is useful now that you know where that leads?
No, I don't. I don't. And honestly, I've been kind of ping-ponging back and forth with that, and like kind of the reframe has been like, no, it's okay to like, part of the process is going as far as you can and taking a break and just trusting that there is work going on behind the scenes, even in my own brain and in the brains of my rest of my team, and even in what the Lord is orchestrating in ways unseen in my life. That is going. So it's taken more of a 5 loaves set and 2 fish approach to this, where it's like, okay, it's enough.
That's interesting. So is that thought believable to you? It's enough? Like what I did today was enough?
It is until like I suspect that I kind of caved, or I had my list that, I thought I was going to easily be able to accomplish. And then, turns out that I had more interruptions, or I allowed more interruptions, and I didn't necessarily get done, or I didn't budget the right amount of time for something.
How realistic is it for you to finish and complete the whole strategy in one night?
Not at all.
Okay.
It'd be so dumb.
So let's just say the truth of the matter is like you wanting it to be done all right now. Like you could say like, it's not even possible.
There is a part of me that enjoys it so much that I say like not looking forward to it being done. Mm-hmm. Like I want to hold space for that too.
Of
so
course.
like I really enjoy, I know it's a gift of mine. And so I love the opportunity to just live in that gift.
But what if we knew, because when you're living in your gift, we know that naturally motivates you and gives you energy. Mm-hmm. So what if you actually had a time of day, like almost like it's coffee, you know, because it's going to give you energy. There's a time of day where you do that. And then there's a time of day where you don't, because it will actually affect your next day, you know, and it'll affect your sleep.
I know that morning times are better for this.
Okay. So looking at this thought, I want it to be done right now. How would you approach that thought now? Now that we've kind of done a little bit of digging, a little bit of coaching, what's going on there?
It's not a helpful thought. That's how I approach it. Okay. Yeah.
So when that thought comes up, because it will in the future, how do you want to reframe it? How do you want to respond to it?
Well, I want to ask what done looks like.
Okay.
So like that's the first thing. So it's because
realistically.
Yeah. So if I don't know what done looks like, I'm just going to stay frenetic. But I'm responsible for, and I have the authority to say when done is done.
Okay.
Right. Great. And I can also, and it doesn't have to be all on me. This is where another one of my ideal conditions is having good counsel around me. And so if I got to reach out to a consultant, or I got to hire a consultant, or I got to reach out to a trusted friend or advisor on this, or people on the team, I'm not alone in making an informed decision on when done is done.
Yeah. Okay. So if you could answer that question, what does done look like? Like right now, like if you could take an educated guess, what does done look like?
So done with when it comes to the strategic plan, it's like we have alignment on the team that this is the direction that we want to go, and we're comfortable with it.
Okay.
And people have had the opportunity to ask questions, to poke holes in the plan.
Okay.
We've done our market research to say, yes, this looks like it's viable in terms of like the audience that this would be addressing, and this we could hit our strategic price point that we want to put out there. We don't have to educate a ton of people on this. People are aware of this problem.
Okay.
And I'd want to be able to say, okay, what does it look like to kind of test this out? You know, create like almost a minimum viable product with this, or are there questions that we could ask to gain a little bit more market research and feedback from people?
The market research, I've heard it a couple of times.
Okay.
So how do you know when that's done? Because there's like a little bit of loose ends on each one of these.
Yeah, when that is done, that is when I've asked all the questions that I care to have answered.
Okay.
All right. And have gotten some feedback on those things, and I've exhausted the questions. Like I remember somebody telling me that, phase one of kind of, a revamp or rolling out something new was just asking all of the questions. And this is even the military side of things.
Sure.
They say, okay, the first thing you do, you begin your plan, then you arrange for reconnaissance, which is really identifying all the knowledge gaps that you have.
Yeah.
And then you make reconnaissance. Like you do the best you can to avoid having to make assumptions, but actually having data-driven decisions. And so, I would love to be able to bounce off somebody that I trust that's done this before, be able to say, okay, these are the questions I asked, these are the answers that I got. Are there any other questions that you have that pop into your mind that I could really benefit from asking?
Okay.
I don't necessarily need you to find the answers for me, but if there's a question that I'm missing, I'd love to know it.
Okay. And then how do you know that process is done and complete? And the reason why I'm asking you all these questions is...
like it's and where I want to go is like, well, I don't know. And it's at some point I know it's just good. It's just like you just say it's done.
Yes. Did you know that you had that permission to do that?
Yeah, I do. It's even hearing you say that is helpful. And it's just like, here I am getting frustrated for not having this ideal condition of knowing what winning looks like and knowing what finished looks like, but also realizing that I have the authority to say what finished looks like and what enough looks like.
Yeah. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Actually.
With permission to, as we execute, if other things come up, be able to just address that as it comes up.
Which is also a choice too that you can make right now and just be like, okay, this is done. And then if other things come up and they're consistent, I can go back and change it, which is also your choice.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that it's really like, I'm sick of pivoting.
Yes.
Like I'm sick of changing.
Okay.
I'm sick of I'm sick of being on the drunken walk.
Okay. So all of these things, the alignment with the team, poke holes in the plan, market audience, all of that, test this out is all to avoid this drunken walk, if you will.
Yeah, the continued drunken walk.
Okay. That's an interesting thought to work on as well.
Okay.
Like I'm sick of pivoting because I bet you many entrepreneurs are sick of pivoting.
Well, you know what? The presumption there is that you hit a point where you just no longer pivot and then you just crush it forever. Like that's kind of, that's the thought that I think is in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Where it's like you arrive one day.
Yeah.
And that's even like kind of a part of mine that's continues to come back. Is like I'm just waiting for the day where I can say I've arrived.
And you're trying to minimize like all of the things that could be getting in the way of you arriving.
Well, the presumption is that ideal is something that's achievable. And, you know, it denies the reality of, you know, the need for constant growth, need for ongoing growth. But like the dynamic nature of even in the business world, the dynamic nature of the market and the economy.
Okay. So let's go back to this. You said one thing I need as an ideal condition is a clear end goal. Like this is complete.
Yeah.
Like I actually know what complete is or done is right now. So if we were to return back to that original thought, I want it to be done right now and we don't know what done looks like or we don't know what is done. Now we're just spinning our wheels and continuing on this hamster wheel. So do you have a little bit more of a clearer picture of what done looks like?
Not yet.
Okay. When will you? And I'm not saying that to like put pressure on you, but I'm asking you that because you do have the answer to this.
Yeah. So like there's a part of me that wants to say it's going to be date driven. There's like a no later than X date.
So like an expiration date.
This is going to be, so there's an expiration date on it. I think that's important.
Okay.
And I mean, even with any sort of discernment, that's like my spiritual direction side coming in here. Like that's an important thing to not put yourself in endless discernment and understand that at some point God wants you to step out in faith. And there's going to be uncertainty. That's part of moving forward. And to really, as best I can, identify those questions that need to be answered and seeking out the good counsel to.
Okay. These are really good tangible actions that can paint a little bit more of a picture. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
Where it's like, I have an expiration date, I choose that, and I stick to it.
Yep.
I identify the questions that I want to, market or have my audience answer.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And then also find good counsel.
Yep.
Okay. I think this is really helpful for you to know this. Also, if we were to return back to that original thought that you had, I want it to be done right now. Like now we know what done looks like.
Actually, do me a favor. Read those things for me again.
Okay. Expiration date.
Okay.
Identify questions to ask your audience, and then find good counsel.
Okay. It's funny. Those things actually line up with my ideal conditions.
Amazing.
I need to have a clear goal. I like data-driven decisions.
Yep. Clear
and
goal.
I like to be surrounded by good counsel.
I love it.
Hey folks, Matt Engold here, interrupting your podcast with a special announcement. We've got Call to Coach Week around the corner, August 12th through the 16th. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be a Catholic coach, or what a Catholic coach is, or what the skills of a Catholic coach are, or how it might be able to enhance your ministry, enhance your current coaching? Well, we're going to be answering all of those questions here at Call to Coach Week and digging into that together. Really digging into this question, is God calling you to be a Catholic coach right now at the season of your life? If you ponder this, if you're wondering this, you want to know a little bit more about what your life might look like as a Catholic coach, then join us at Call to Coach Week. Again, going August 12th through the 16th. All you got to do is click the link in the show notes, sign up. We will see you there.
So we just identified some of your
I know we kind of jumped ahead. We didn't necessarily
that's totally fine.
But that's like, I've done a lot of this work before, and I know that those are things that consistently come up as having those ideal conditions. And so it's like, okay, like tap into my network of good counsel.
So now knowing this and now knowing what done is, when this thought comes back, I want it to be done right now, how would you approach that?
I want to be like, okay, first of all, I'm not going to choose to think that thought anymore, but I want to actually focus on those things that are like, what is done? And literally like looking at those things, like what I want to focus on what still needs to be done.
Yeah.
But that's not a growing list. That's a defined, definitive list.
Yes.
And when it's defined and definitive, I can actually build that into a schedule of when I'm going to be doing those things. And I don't have to be doing it after hours at night.
Yes. You can build it into tasks.
Yeah.
And so everything that we just did right here, you can do that with each one of those. Like expiration date, easy. You just, close your eyes and point to the calendar.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
Identify questions. You could be like, I'll just brain dump a list, ask the team to add in their questions, and then maybe ask another group of people to add in their questions. Find good counsel.
You're triggering me right now because you're telling me how to do it.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, actually, I wanted to get into that because I think
Choleric triggers.
Yeah. How would you do? Which one out of those three things, expiration date, identify questions, and then find good counsel, like which one of those feels the hardest or the most dreadful, or maybe none of them do?
It's the identify good counsel.
Okay.
One of them. So, because it's like, okay, I want to have somebody that is focused, which in my mind is like, okay, I'm actually paying a professional to give me their focus. Some third-party focus, so not somebody internally here, but somebody can see the stuff that we don't see. So I really want the value of an alternative perspective, but somebody that's been there before and can be like, okay, yeah, like I was there once. I thought all the questions that you were answering or asking were the right ones, and like here's the ones that I found out are actually way more important, and you haven't answered these things yet, so you can't move forward. So like that kind of clarification. Okay.
So that's the one that you're like, how does that feel when you think about doing that? Going and searching out good counsel.
What's challenging is that I'm not even sure what questions to ask them. That's kind of it. It's just like the question I find myself asking is like, what it's the one we were just addressing here. It's like, how do I know when I'm done and I can actually move forward here? Like, what does due diligence look like? So those are the things.
Have you ever tried answering those questions on your own?
No, you know what? I've kind of like gone with like I don't know. And then my first response is like,
I'll go find out.
I'll go ask somebody.
Yeah.
I love being able to go to YouTube and find answers to questions.
I know, but I'm wondering if you just tried as an example, as like an exercise or an experiment. Just like try answering it and then like holding it up next to somebody and being like, was it right?
Well, that's one way of doing it. Like the nagging thought that's in the back of my head is, I know I can't figure this out on my own.
Okay. So I think that's the thought that's behind all of this.
Well, it's like there's something that I'm missing. That's kind of that dread thought that's there. It's like, there's something that I'm missing.
Okay.
And that sends off all the triggers of being incompetent, right? The internal trigger of being incompetent or being incapable. Or like inept, humiliation.
So there's something that I'm missing. And the worst case scenario is that's true. Okay. But there is something that you're missing and you've already acknowledged that. Like, so why is that the worst case scenario?
Well, it's like I go forward and because I miss something, then there's the consequences of that are, harmful to the business, harmful to you, harmful to our employees, harmful to our clients. Like that's...
Okay. All right. So there's something that I'm missing. And that is the thought right now. And then that's a problem because if you act without getting all the answers to everything, you're going to harm people.
Potentially. Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of like the worst case scenario.
Okay. What's the likelihood of that happening?
Not very likely.
Like out of 1 to 10, like 10 being like super likely.
Yeah. When I work on this, it's like a below 50%. I'd say, well, like a 20%, right? To like harm is a big word.
Yeah. And like what's the likelihood of you recognizing it kind of early on and then maybe backstepping?
Very, very likely. Or if I screw something up, just saying, sorry.
Okay.
Like,
so that's
apologize.
really the worst case scenario is if it went down this path, you would probably catch it early and then just say sorry and pivot again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we did that with our with our live event last year.
I know. So like we've already lived through the worst case scenario.
Yeah. And that was expensive.
That was very expensive. And that was okay. We learned a lot.
I don't want to learn that again.
From that.
Cool.
So I want to, I want to check in and see where you're at with this. What have you learned? What have you walked away from this situation? Because we went through a lot of different thoughts just to like let everybody know who is listening. We went through a lot of different thoughts, a lot of different nuances of this thought, and like even layers of these thoughts.
And this started with like, I want to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night.
Right.
So like we went all of a sudden to like the stuff that I was doing hours before to that was like keeping me not sleeping when I would rather be sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah. So what have you walked away with so far? What have you learned about yourself?
Well, it's I want to take authority for defining success and completion in terms of the strategic plan. And like Erin is like in the pool right now because she's like, yes, I want that too.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so you said success and completion. So take authority. Okay.
Yeah. So like, and really it's like the confidence to boldly move forward.
Okay. All right. So this is something else I want you to take a look at.
Oh boy.
So that confidence.
We're not done yet?
No, the confidence to boldly move forward. I want you to look at some of those motivating adjectives on the list. As you're moving towards taking this authority for defining success, which we already discovered, it's like an expiration date, identifying questions, and then finding good counsel. So how do you want to feel?
Driven.
Okay, driven. Great. What does that feel like in your body?
There's just like a, it's almost like a side of my head. And it's, you know, even as I'm like doing this, it's like the horse blinders piece where like there's focus that's here. And it's just like my energy is going one direction.
Okay.
That's what I want.
All right.
And even like the efficient is there. So like even driven has a picture of efficiency for me. And discipline. That was another one. Discipline, strategic, like that is, tunnel vision.
Okay.
Face set like flint.
Okay, cool. So we take those, right? Driven and discipline, and you have these pictures of what they look like. Does discipline look like driven?
Does discipline look like driven? Discipline looks, it looks like staying on the path, not straying from the process. So it's like having a plan, sticking with the plan.
Yeah. Out of everything that you've shared with me so far, what makes you go off the path or off the process?
When an unexpected need pops up.
Okay.
Right? And it's usually like family, personal, life related, you know, something breaks. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Okay. Problem needs to be solved.
Well, that's like outside of you, but like the stuff that you've already shared with me, what makes you start to spin and like not stay focused.
Oh, when I have the freneticism.
Yeah.
Because the freneticism is just like, it brings into this question of like, is this what I ought to be doing?
Yeah.
You know? And so like now I'm starting to make a decision on where to focus my time from like not a very sober place.
Yeah.
Or more frenetic place.
I think that freneticism too comes from a lot of unanswered questions in your mind.
Yes. And caffeine.
Yes. And caffeine. Sure. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is, how do you take that driven, that focus, that energy is going in one direction? How do you take that and actually like direct it towards, so when that urgency and freneticism comes up, you could just be like, no, remember, we're focused here.
Yeah, it's creating my ideal conditions. So like, I know when I need to get something done, I put my phone on focus mode. I throw on my sleep lo-fi music in my AirPods, and I just like, sometimes I'll leave the house and I'll go someplace if I can, right? And it's leaning into my ideal conditions is really important.
Okay. I think another thing too to remind yourself to think is like, I think I have more answers than I'm giving myself credit for.
Well, that's helpful, but it's also like, no, I've already made a decision that this is the focus.
I love that.
That one's super helpful.
Yeah, I think that one's super helpful when you've made the decision, but when you're in the midst of trying to make the decision, because some of these tasks do still involve that, you know, trying to make a decision on something.
Okay.
You could say like, let's consult. Like the wisdom that the Lord has given me already, and then I could hold it up next to what other people say. Yeah.
Yeah. If priority is moving forward right now, what am I going to do with the best of my knowledge, best of my knowledge, and kind of move on that? Yep.
Okay. So full circle, we go back to the 7 to 8 hours of sleep.
Okay.
All right. You're approaching nighttime and you're like, when do you want to be in bed? By?
Really between 9 and 9:30.
Okay.
Like that is like when I'm in, lights out, 9:30.
It hits around 8 and you see your computer and you're like, I want to get all the things done. And there's like stuff I still need to strategize and all that stuff. How do you approach that now? How do you approach it differently?
Well, I just want to ask the question because I do think that there are times where it's okay to work at that point. And I want to have that freedom to be able to say yes or no to that. But I want that freedom to be used like in a way that's like, I don't have to do this, or I'm finding a way, excuse of doing this. I want to first ask, okay, is this something that has to be done tonight?
I love that.
Or is this something that I can create space for when I'm fresh in the morning?
Okay. Okay. And then do you answer that question?
Yes, and I want to answer that question. Yep.
All right. So is this something that has to be done tonight, or can I make space for this in the morning? Okay. Anything else you want to say to yourself in that moment?
It's helpful for me to go back to the goal and be like, what does winning look like?
Nice.
Is that just, again, it frames the project, because what this frenetic kind of feeling, sensation communicates is like, there's so much that's got to be done. It's just like, actually, it's just this much. Right?
So like, what are the facts too? Like what actually does need to be done?
Yeah. Like, and just really going back to like, what does winning look like? What have you committed to?
So what actually does need to be done? What does winning look like? And what can be done even? Like, what is actually like possible? Like,
yeah. Yep.
All right. We tackled one of the problems that we foresee, and I think a lot of those are connected, that impatience and that restlessness, right? So moving forward, as you approach this evening, you are going to ask yourself a series of questions and also give yourself that freedom to work as well, which is really good to know too.
Yeah.
It's not like you're like repressing that.
Yeah, part of it's is like, if I am prioritizing like my superpower of strategic thinking, I know that part of that is getting a good night's sleep, and part of getting a good night's sleep is giving myself the time to sleep, like the lights out time, but also regulating my evening activities, whether I'm watching TV right up to that point, or if I'm reading, or if I'm eating something, like all that goes in. So it's like serving this. That's something that I feel motivated to guard because I love being in that place so much.
Yeah.
And I've seen the benefit and the gift that it is to other people when I create space for that.
I love that. So your sleep is something, what just happened is it just kind of created another image, is like something to be guarded.
It's protecting a gift.
Yes.
Yeah.
Protecting a gift. So how do you become more driven in protecting that gift, or how do you become more disciplined in protecting that gift?
Well, it's just done is it's elevated the priority. You know, so now that it's like there's an intention that's there. There's even a subconscious intention that I'm creating here. That becomes when the temptation to procrastinate shows up. That's just another thing that I could use to be like, okay, this is what I'm protecting. So I'm not going to go down and click on the Instagram, funny reel that somebody's just sent to me.
Your wife.
You're my wife. Never. Always.
Guilty.
And I'm going to stay focused. It's like just recognizing like my brain it like burns calories. And I want to be fresh at the end of the day to like still be very present to Avila too. I've noticed that sometimes I'm just drained at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so it's just like kind of creating less decisions for myself at the end of the day.
Yeah, I like that. So guarding your decisions, guarding your brain, your calories that you're burning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Guarding your sleep. So all of this is an opportunity to guard these things more.
Yeah.
All right.
Steward. Yep.
A good question for you to ask yourself is, moving forward, you don't have to do it right now, but what is like a driven version look like to guard these things? And like not in an overly controlling way, but using that word driven, which is one of those motivating adjectives for you. Like how would you show up being driven to guard these things? Like a protector.
Right. Yep.
Like you're a soldier. Like you're a Marine.
Thank you.
Guarding your country.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's a good question.
So that's it. How do you feel?
Driven.
Good.
I feel good. No, I do feel good with it. I could see how you integrated some of my natural gifts and ideal conditions, and even the motivating words and like all of it. I could see how all the unique design elements were kind of peppered in here. And I enjoyed having just language. It was very helpful going through this list and being like, oh man, impatience is really something that that's behind a lot of what I'm doing, or it's like, this has to be done right now. So that was kind of like an anointing on that word. Where it's like, hey, there's money in this banana stand. We can follow this thread and get somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I felt like we went on a journey, and there was like a lot of stuff that kind of came up, and a lot of stuff that was, I think, easily addressed, and just being like, even just, I don't know, reminding both of us that we do have a free will and we can like answer questions and actually make decisions.
Yeah. And when I'm doing the strategic thinking work, it's easy to just be like, oh, I'll just punt this one down the road. But when I start to see the consequence and the cost of just punting a decision down the road or something like that, and sometimes it's okay to just say, like, not today, but like where it's more so out of just like, I want to get out of it. I want to be done. I want to like find some sort of relief in that moment, to realize that creates a ripple effect later on, and understand it's like, no, it's just like, it's not necessarily, if it's not helping to move towards clarity, it's not helpful. So I find it more motivating to be like, okay, I understand the cost of punting now. So, maybe I'm just going to choose to be a little bit more disciplined here.
Yeah, right. Which kind of makes you feel more efficient and more driven, and
it's like I'll have a little bit of suffering with this.
Yeah.
And it's better than the suffering later on.
Worth it. Worth it now.
Choose your dang suffering.
Yeah. So that's what it looks like, guys. And I'm going to let Matt take me on this journey on another podcast, which will be fun.
Stay tuned.
Guys, definitely check it out. We go deeper into this in our academy, so you can come in and join us and we can talk about all of your unique design qualities, and also you can get some coaching.
Yeah, it's wonderful when you can start to do this work and you adopt a new language with it, right? The fun thing about assessments is that gives us new language. The sucky thing about assessments is it gives us new language. And so like, especially when you have like tons of different assessments. So we like to really simplify things with the 5 points of awareness, because you can always draw in from those 5 points of awareness, regardless of whatever assessment you're approaching from. And we like to continue to increase our ability to translate those assessments into really actionable strategies for you. So you can actually improve based on that self-awareness knowledge that you're gaining. But that's what we're doing in the academy.
And Matt is going to go sleep 8 hours tonight.
I might take a nap right now.
I fixed him. No, I'm just kidding.
I got some stuff to process. This brain's got to do some disk defragmentation. Cool.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye. Hey, thanks for sticking with us in the Catholic Coaching Podcast. If you like what you heard,
please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again.